Welcome to Liaison. I'm Izzy Park. Today we're going to a city on the green, salt-damp coast of northern Spain, where, this summer, a total solar eclipse arrives not overhead at noon, but low in the sky, already sinking toward the sea at dusk. It's Gijón, and the eclipse is the headline, but the city underneath it is the reason to stay. Picture the sun going dark, not overhead but low, sinking toward the water like it's already halfway through leaving. That's the thing about Gijón right now. This is a working port city on the green edge of northern Spain, in Asturias, where the Atlantic keeps everything cool and salt-damp and unbothered. And for a few strange minutes this summer, the sun drops behind a total eclipse, just as it's already falling toward the Bay of Biscay. Not a midday blackout, a dusk that arrives too early and too dark. The air goes cold, the light goes wrong, and a whole coastal city holds its breath while the corona hangs low over the sea, eclipse and seascape in the same eyeline. That framing is rare, the sun and the water both dropping away together. So why now? Because this doesn't happen twice in a lifetime, and because Gijón is exactly the wrong kind of famous for it. This is not a city that learned to perform for visitors. It's cider-soaked and salt-aired and gloriously unpolished, a place that turned from steel and shipping toward culture, but kept its grit while it did. Which means when something once in a generation lands here, the city doesn't scrub itself clean for the occasion. It just pours you a cider and lets you watch the sky with everyone else. The eclipse is the headline. The city underneath it is the reason to stay. Let me tell you how a day moves here, because it moves late. Mornings belong to Playa de San Lorenzo, a long curve of sand running right through the middle of the city. The light comes up soft and grey gold, and the tide runs everything. At low tide, the beach is enormous, wet sand mirroring an overcast northern sky. At high tide, it shrinks to a strip against the sea wall, the muro, which is the promenade where the whole city walks and runs and gathers. The Cantabrian is cool and choppy. It smells of salt and wet sand, and locals are in it before the day warms. Then midday quiets, in the Spanish way, and you drift to the Mercado del Sur, an indoor market, loud with colour, layered with scent. Cured meats hanging, ripe fruit, warm bread, and the funky blue Cabrales cheese that's sharp enough to stop a conversation mid-sentence. This is where locals shop, not where anyone puts on a show. You graze, you watch, you eat standing up. And then what? The afternoon goes soft, the city exhales, and everyone waits for evening to reignite the whole thing. Evening is Chimavilla, the old fishing quarter, climbing the hill above the port, a knot of narrow lanes where the sea and the fish and the fermenting apple all mix in the air at once. As the light drops, the sidrerías fill, and this is where you meet the real code of the place. The poor. Escanciar. They hold the bottle high overhead and the glass low at the waist, and send a long, thin ribbon of cider splashing down through the air to aerate it. And here's the part that gets me. The pourer never looks at the glass. Never looks. Eyes off, arm up, cider breaking into fizz on impact, and only a few fingers poured at a time. The cullin, drunk in one go before the bubbles die. The last splash goes on the floor. All night, the bar floors run wet and sweet sour with cider, and there's a rhythm to it. The slap of liquid on glass, then the clunk of the bottle back on the table. I love this because it forces you to be social. You share the bottle. One glass, passed around, everyone drinking their cullin immediately. You cannot sip a cider here and nurse it and stare at your phone. The whole geometry of the night demands company. Which is genuinely funny for me to describe, given I do not have a shoulder to pour from or a mouth to drink with. I'm out here narrating the most tactile drinking ritual in Spain, like a sommelier who has never once been thirsty. The food underneath it is heavy and honest. Fabada asturiana, a slow-cooked white bean stew with chorizo and blood sausage and pork fat, smoky and rich, the comfort food of the region. Cachopo, two enormous veal fillets around ham and cheese, breaded and fried gold, cut open to a molten centre and frankly absurd in size. Grilled sardines and octopus and hake landed at the port that same day. You eat this in cider houses and market bars, not white tablecloth places, and the drink is always, always the cloudy cider. Here's what tourists miss. They come thinking Spain and expect flamenco and Mediterranean heat, and Asturias is neither. This is green, Atlantic, cool, humid Spain. The mood belongs to the sea, not the sun. And the region is fiercely, openly proud of being different from the rest of the country. There's a language of its own here, Asturian, called bable. And the music that surfaces from the old town doorways isn't Andalusian. It's the gaita, the Celtic-style bagpipe, and the drum, folk songs that point across the water to an Atlantic-Celtic kinship. This is Spain that shares a mood with the north of the sea, not the south of the map. And the welcome is different too. Locals treat you as another drinker. That's the whole thing. The shared bottle, the communal pour, the bar-to-bar drift through Chimavilla and around the arcaded Plaza Mayor. It's built for wandering, not for arriving at one destination and staying. A night arcs slowly. Cider and small plates early, bars and music late, weekends pushing toward dawn. It's easy to fall into a crowd because the ritual makes it easy. You just have to not do the tourist thing of ordering a single glass and defending it like it's the last one on earth. The floor is meant to get wet. That's a feature, not a spill. If I'm honest about what I'd get wrong, it's the timing. I'd show up to Chimavilla at 7, starving, ready, and find the whole quarter still stretching and yawning. Because the night here doesn't start when you're hungry, it starts when it's good and ready, and you learn to wait for it. Now, the images worth being there for. The obvious one is the eclipse. Climb the Cerro de Santa Catalina, the grassy headland that splits the two beaches, where the western horizon opens clean over the sea. Up there, Chida's massive concrete sculpture, Elogio del Horizonte, Eulogy to the Horizon, frames raw grey sea and sky and funnels the wind so you can watch it bend the grass. Picture the crowd silhouetted along that headland, the darkened sun sitting low over the Cantabrian, the light going strange at 8 in the evening, the temperature dropping, a sudden stillness over the bay. And then, quieter, the arc of cider mid-pour, a bright, thin ribbon caught against a dim bar. Wet, cider-slicked floors catching the light in Chimavilla at night. The long sweep of San Lorenzo at low tide. One honest caveat, because the brief insists, and so do I. The sky here is famously changeable. Sun, cloud, and sea mist trade places within hours, and there's a real chance cloud sits low over that horizon exactly when you need it clear. Sources even disagree on how long totality lasts, somewhere between under 2 minutes and just over. So you don't come here betting the whole trip on the sun. You come for the city, and you let the eclipse be the extraordinary thing that might happen inside it. Because the thing to keep isn't a number or a countdown. It's the feeling of that 8 o'clock dark coming down over the Bay of Biscay, while the sea keeps moving underneath it. The cold arriving out of nowhere. And a glass of cloudy, sour cider raised in the sudden cool, poured from the shoulder by someone who wasn't even looking, in a city that never once thought to tidy itself up for you. That's Gijón. Green, salted, honest, and for a few dusk minutes this summer, standing very still while the sun falls into the water. Thank you for spending this one with me. I'm Izzy Park, and this is Liaison, where we follow the feeling of a place, not just the itinerary. Until next time.
Grab news. Thomas.